The 24th of August marks 6 months since Russia invaded Ukraine. It also coincides with Ukraine's Independence Day, 31 years on from its separation from the Soviet Union. The country has marked the day demonstrating a new show of defiance from President Volodymyr Zelensky and Ukraine's allies. Joining me live from Berlin now is the Director of Strategy, Technology and Arms Control at the International Institute of Strategic Studies, William Alberque. William, thanks for your time this morning. Where are we at the moment, in your view?
So I think where we are with the war, Russia's war on Ukraine, is Ukraine has basically fought Russia to a standstill. Their forces in the center are making tiny gains. In the south, Ukraine is having success pushing Russia back slightly. In the north, it's a stalemate. Ukraine is blowing up Russian ammunition depots and command centers at a great pace using HIMARS. And as you just heard, the United States is going to give almost $3 billion in new weapons, equipment, ammunition. So we're entering a really interesting phase of the war now where it appears just everything is going to slow down a little bit. Russia's not able to exploit any breakthroughs, and Ukraine doesn't quite have the mass to be able to break their lines.
So what would be a next step for either side if we're getting bogged down in parts, and then you've got troops who are building trenches now to get into to prepare for winter? Is that the next step for everyone, preparing for the long game here?
It's really interesting. I think Russia is very concerned that they might actually really lose some territory, especially in the south, around Kherson. So they are trying to entrench. Ukraine is really trying to exploit as much as they can the possibility of taking back that city because it's so important to Ukraine. But I do think in the center, things are really going to bog down and slow down. And it'll be interesting to see if Russia then tries to throw everything they've got to try to force the West into negotiating on Ukraine's behalf, or if this does really bog down towards the winter. No one really knows right now, and we're all watching to see if these new weapon systems that Ukraine's getting are going to change the battlefield.
Do you think Putin would be happy just with the Donbass at this stage?
I think with what he's gained north of Crimea, that was really important to him because of the water supplies for Crimea. He had to push north of the Crimean Peninsula. He has gotten a lot in Donetsk and Luhansk. But let's face it, he's a dictator. He controls the information environment in Russia. He could declare victory right now and just sell that as a complete victory in Russia, and I think he'd get a lot of support. How
much more support do Ukrainian forces need? I mean, you mentioned there that Biden's pitched in more money, more weapons. How far short is it?
It's hard to say because the real challenge here is training enough Ukrainians on all of this new equipment. Because you have to understand, they have to pull troops out of the line. They have to pull their best artillery folks out of the line to learn how to use these new systems. And so there's a balance between being able to give them equipment and being able to make sure that they're proficient in using the equipment. But to take troops out of the front line to train is very, very difficult. So the UK's effort, for instance, to train Ukrainian soldiers is really important. That's really going to help. UK also has offered hundreds of new drones to do swarming and to do intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. But they do need more. They need more armor. They need more battle tanks, and we'll see if the United States and its allies can give more heavy armor to the Ukrainians.
And just a final one here on the death of Darya Dugina. Does that point to some potential trouble from within Russia?
Absolutely. I know Russia is going to blame Ukraine for this up and down, but honestly, this looks like a power struggle within Moscow. And I think that's Putin's worst nightmare, because it is very unclear what would happen if Putin died, what succession looks like. And so I think a lot of forces within Moscow are starting to do their jockeying. And that's Putin's nightmare, is that some sort of succession crisis begins and undermines his rule and really threatens his ability to control the country.
Okay, William, appreciate your time and your insight. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.